a sniper, a refugee, a woman who tried to end her life. 3 people, 3 countries, 3 moments when everything they believed was turned inside out. This is not a film about religion. This is a film about what happens when someone shows up in the darkest moment of your life, and you cannot explain who he is or why he knew your name. Tonight, 3 testimonies, 3 encounters, 1 name. His job was to end lives. He was good at it. Trained as a sniper for the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, he had been taught from boyhood that hatred was not just acceptable. It was loyalty. It was identity. It was survival. He would later say he didn't just carry a weapon. He carried a worldview built on rage. His name is Taysir Saada, and for years that rage defined everything. He operated in a world where violence was the currency, where who you killed determined who you were. He rose through the ranks. He became trusted. He became useful to powerful men. And he believed, genuinely believed, that what he was doing was right. But something was fracturing beneath the surface. There is a moment, and almost every person who has lived inside violence will tell you this, where the ideology stops being enough. Where you lie awake and the certainty that used to hold everything together starts to crack. That moment came for Taysir. He was not in a church. He was not with missionaries. He was not looking for God. He was a man at the end of himself. And in that place, he did something he had never done before. He prayed, not to the God of his upbringing exactly, but to whoever was real, whoever was actually there. What happened next, Taysir has told publicly in his own published memoir. He describes a presence, a light, a sense of being known, fully, completely known by someone he could not see. And then, a name, Jesus, not a religion, not a set of rules, a person, speaking directly into the wreckage of his life. Taysir Saada, former PLO sniper, trained in hatred, fluent in violence, fell to his knees. He has spent the rest of his life doing the opposite of everything he was trained to do. He now works to bring aid, reconciliation, and the gospel to the very people he once considered enemies. He wrote about it himself. He hid nothing. He said, "This is what happened to me, and I cannot pretend otherwise. But he is not alone." Around the same time, thousands of miles away, a man arrived at a refugee center just before sunrise. He was shaking. He was Persian, a Muslim, a man who had fled everything familiar and found himself in a foreign country, sleeping in a refugee center, waiting to find out what his life would become. That night, he had a dream. A figure appeared, dressed in white, radiant. The man said the figure raised one hand, calmly, deliberately, and spoke 4 words. "Stand up, follow me." In the dream, the Persian man asked the only question that made sense. "Who are you?" And the figure answered, in words this man had never read, never been taught, never heard before. "I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the way to heaven. No one comes to the Father except through me." He woke up at 6 in the morning, found a pastor at the refugee center, a Persian pastor who spoke his language, and the words poured out of him. "Who is this? What does this mean? Why did he ask me to follow him? How do I follow him? Tell me." The pastor didn't argue. He didn't explain theology. He reached for a book and held it out. "Have you seen this before?" The man shook his head. The pastor opened to the book of Revelation. Chapter 1, verse 8. "I am the Alpha and the Omega." The Persian man stared at the page, the exact words, the exact phrase, from a book he had never touched, spoken to him in a dream the night before. He began to weep. How can I accept him? How can I follow him? And right there, in a refugee center, in a foreign country, with nothing left but his life, he did. This account was documented by Dr. Darren Carlson, a researcher who spent years interviewing Muslim background believers in refugee centers across Europe. He published it through the Gospel Coalition. He did not embellish it. He simply wrote down what the man said. A sniper in the Middle East, a refugee in Europe, and then an entire movement, underground, hidden, led by people the world had tried to silence. In Iran, a country where leaving Islam can cost you your freedom, your family, or your life, something extraordinary has been happening for decades, and it is being led by women. The Iranian regime does not know what to do with them. They own no buildings, they have no budget, they hold no official status, they cannot meet publicly, they cannot worship freely. And yet, the underground church in Iran is the fastest growing Christian movement on earth. Researchers have documented it. The US State Department has noted it. Journalists have investigated it. More Iranians have come to faith in Jesus in the last 20 years than in the 1300 years since Islam first swept through Persia, combined. And the ones leading it, in city after city, home after home, are women. To understand why, you have to understand what many of these women survived before they ever heard the name of Jesus. One church leader, her face hidden, her voice altered to protect her, described growing up in a culture that did not value her. She experienced abuse from childhood. She carried wounds she had never named. She learned atheism from her mother, a woman whose own heart had been hardened by the same suffering. She spent years with no faith, no framework, no hope, until she had no reason left to stay alive. She described reaching the end, the absolute end, the moment where she chose to stop. And in that moment, he appeared. She does not use elaborate language to describe it. She simply says, Jesus came to her. She knew who he was. She did not know how she knew. She just knew. And everything changed. She did not become quiet. She did not become cautious. She became unstoppable. She began telling everyone around her, neighbors, family members, women in her community, people who were suffering the same way she had suffered. And they believed, and they told others, and those people told others. No building, no budget, no protection, just women who had survived the unsurvivable and found someone worth dying for. The documentary Sheep Among Wolves, produced by FAI Studios, captured their testimonies, faces blurred, voices protected, because the risk is still real. These are not historical accounts. This is happening right now. A sniper who laid down his weapon, a refugee who woke up shaking and left with peace, women who should have been silenced and instead became the voice of the fastest growing church on earth. 3 people, 3 countries, 3 encounters with the same person. They did not find a religion. Something found them. If these testimonies stayed with you, share this video with one person. Leave a comment below. Tell us, do you believe he is still appearing to people today? Like and subscribe. A new verified testimony posts every week. Real testimonies, real encounters, real faith.